citizen from the White House in 1981, so here I am. He enjoyed reading books of all sorts, if the writing was inspiring. To judge by the liveliness of many diary entries, from the first to the very last, keeping a daily log was for Reagan anything but a chore. Nancy Reagan explains that her husband kept the diaries in his second-floor White House study next to their bedroom. When traveling, he'd bring a volume with him, often writing while on Air Force One. We just wanted a way to capture the moment and our feelings before we were whisked on to the next day, Nancy explained, so we could savor it a little more. For several years after their return to California, the Reagans would often sit together in their den after dinner, reading aloud from their diaries and reminiscing about their White House years. As soon as I started reading the daily entries the president had written, I could almost hear his voice. It was Reagan circa the 1980s. The familiar, plain-spoken, direct tones were back. It was as if he were talking just to me, and I found that I was fascinated by what he had to say. In these writings, Ronald Reagan's true nature is revealed. His uncomplicated and humble notations are on display in these pages, genuine, thoughtful, and caring. They're an extension of an honest man who loved freedom but hated communism, inflation, and taxes. The Reagan appeal, evident in each volume, helps to explain why he never outlasted his welcome with the American people. They, and millions of others around the world, regarded him as a powerful leader and at the same time a trusted neighbor. Those who made Reagan a hero in his own lifetime even saw something of themselves reflected in him. A modern American unashamed of the nation's majesty and his own pride in time-honored traditions. It's all here in his own hand, in his own words, from the everyday musings of ordinary thoughts to the detailing of diplomatic summits. Reagan's entries reveal the hidden rhythm of life as a president, a husband, a father, and a friend. Many have referred to Ronald Reagan as larger than life. The national outpouring of grief when he died in 2004 was proof positive that he was no ordinary politician. But now, with the publication of the Reagan Diaries, there is even more. An immense presidential legacy is extended. Ronald Reagan wrote about seemingly everything and everyone in the diaries, from his first inauguration in 1981 to his very last day in the White House in 1989. Arms reduction, Reaganomics, the military, Lebanon, Iran-Contra, Camp David, Rancho del Cielo, and much more are recorded in considerable detail. Queen Elizabeth II, Muammar al-Gaddafi, Pope John Paul II, Mikhail Gorbachev, Margaret Thatcher, Tip O'Neill, George H.W. Bush, Fidel Castro, they're all here too. And rarely can one turn a page without realizing that Ronald Reagan's marriage to Nancy was the cornerstone of his life. Nothing was more important to Ronald Reagan than his marriage. His deep and enduring love for her was a foundation for him. In the George Washington University Hospital, after being shot in an assassination attempt by John Hinckley, he wrote, "I opened my eyes once to find Nancy there. I pray I'll never face a day when she isn't there. Of all the ways God has blessed me, giving her to me is the greatest and beyond anything I can ever hope to deserve." He felt a real sense of loss whenever his wife was away. On one occasion, when she left for a ship christening, he asked himself, "Why am I so scared when she leaves like that?" Later, when she went on a trip to New York, he contracted one of his typical bouts of White House loneliness. "I don't like it here by myself," he wrote. Like his marriage to Nancy, his strong relationship with God was of paramount importance in Reagan's life. Consistently, he thanks God for allowing him to be physically fit and for sparing his life from Hinckley's bullet spray, after which he recalls lying on a bed in the emergency room. "I focused on that tiled ceiling and prayed, but I realized I couldn't ask for God's help, while at the same time I felt hatred for the mixed-up young man who had shot me. Isn't that the meaning of the last sheep? We are all God's children, and therefore equally beloved by him. I began to pray for his soul, and that he would find his way back to the fold." Another personality trait that frequently surfaces in passages is Reagan's enormous empathy for citizens with physical disabilities. At one juncture or another, he comments on blindness, epilepsy, sickle cell anemia, deafness. The list goes on and on. He learned as much as possible about those